think many people realize that Epstein is not the only Epstein. What is in those files is a lot bigger and deeper than that. For example, meet the Epstein before Epstein. This is Craig Spence, a lobbyist for the Republican Party who was exposed in July 1989 for, quote, being deeply involved with a callboy ring that supplied young boys, some of them very young, to the elite of both political parties, as well as to visiting dignitaries. And, much like Epstein, this dude also had a list. The Washington Times reported a list of 200 influential clients, which included government officials, locally based U.S. military officers, businessmen, lawyers, bankers, congressional aides, media representatives, and other professionals. Very few people on that list were identified, but here's a few. On Spence's client list was former CIA Director William Casey, the former Deputy Director Ray Klein, Congressman Barney Frank, Senator John Glenn, Senator Frank Murkowski, political activist Phyllis Schlafly, former Attorney General John Mitchell, journalist William Safire, who also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2006, journalist Liz Trotta, journalist Ted Koppel, journalist Eric Sevareid, former Ambassador James Lilly, former Ambassador Robert Newman, who was also a dang Holocaust survivor. How are you going to survive the Holocaust and turn around and abuse children? Former Ambassador Elliot Richardson, General Alfred M. Gray, the Commandant of the U.S. Marine Corps, Lieutenant General Daniel O. Graham, who was also an expert in the Space Defense Initiative. There were a couple of prominent attorneys and even some celebrities like Roy M. Cohen. I don't know who this is. Rock Hudson, and more. That's just a few of the clients. And among the revelations of the Spence case was that Spence had taken some of his callboy escorts, literal children, on private late-night tours of the White House. The tours were cleared by uniformed Secret Service agents, who also moonlighted as Craig Spence's bodyguards. And during the investigation, Craig Spence also hinted that the tours were arranged by Donald Gregg, the National Security Advisor to the then Vice President, George H.W. Bush. Craig Spence also liked to brag about how he worked with the CIA and was super buddy-buddy with high-ranking members of both the Bush and Reagan administrations. And it's believed that Spence's parties, because he also threw these parties for his client list, were part of a CIA sexual blackmail operation, which I believe is also a lot like Jeffrey Epstein. And surprise, surprise, the Spence story never really even hit national media. And the paper trail of this ring was quickly covered up. There were 20,000 documents pertaining to the case that were sealed by court orders, and the U.S. Attorney's Office issued a gag order on the release of the information. And also, much like Epstein, Craig Spence passed away under mysterious circumstances. Mysterious circumstances ruled suicide. Only 5 months after the story broke, he was found dead, laying on his bed in room